afternoon from Galaxy Studios and welcome to Business Trend, a program where we share general economic issues as the trend. I'm Izine Egasi. Just stay with us. Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, is beset with many uncertainties as well as endless possibilities. The synergy of the public and private sector is pivotal to the emergence of a sustainable economic growth pattern that will benefit all citizens. Watch Business Trends, the platform where experts, public and private sector policy strategists, CEOs and regulators share their views on the growth prospects of the nation's economy. Watch Business Trends at these times. Moving on now, lack of indigenous shipping lines have been listed as one of the major factors limiting export from Nigeria. The Vice President, Air Logistics National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, in this exclusive interview highlights challenges impeding the growth of the sector. Don't go anywhere. All right, so I have with me on the program Dr. Segun Musa, the Vice President, Air Logistics National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders. Thank you so much, Mr. Segun, for joining us on the program for today.
Thank you very much.
So I'll go straight to what we'll have on the table now. How would you rate the performance of the current administration in your sector in the last 3 years?
It may interest you to know that the present regime has actually done well in the area of reforming the sector. Before now, we do have a sector that more or less a moribund sector that is as good as a dead sector that operates under what we call natural phenomenon. No policy guidance, nothing. But presently, when this regime came up, they started with the customs. They changed the head of the customs, put a neutral person there as an administrator to manage the customs service. And aside that, they also added value to the ports, reviewing most of the privatization policy and ensuring that we are able to improve the sector. So far, so good. The administration has done well in this sector, but they still have a long way to go.
Now, what would you say are the factors responsible for the over 600% of rise in container haulage cost, which is, currently ongoing? I mean, that's actually very high. What would you say are the factors responsible for this rise in cost?
Yeah, the first factor you need to identify is the factor of the terminal operators and the shipping companies. Because before now, even the road has always been there, the road has always been bad, but despite that, transportation has never been as high as this in the past. But the major problem we do have with the terminal operators and the shipping company is the fact that they deliberately find a way to defraud Nigerians and business community by way of ensuring that they delay the clearance of cargo. So for instance, most of the containers that are having destination empty containers, after you've loaded the containers and you have to take it to the client, they offload the content, they have to return the empty containers. They're supposed to have a kind of a bay where they go and offload the empty containers, and in the night they truck it to the port so that they can load it back to the vessel. They decided to make sure that both the empty containers and the full containers that has not been exited from the port, they are all stacked inside the port together. So there is a limited space for haulie to enter and access where to load. The place is choked up. And again, there is this policy that actually assisted us during the days of NPA, when NPA was actually in charge of the port, to decongest the ports. That was when the policy that established the bonded terminals came up. And we have so many bonded terminals here and there. And what the terminal operators as well as the shipping company is supposed to be doing is when you have the vessel berthing and discharging containers, if your terminal is already filled up, you dispatch some of those vessels, the containers in those vessels, to some bonded terminals. But because of their greed, they will ensure that the bonded terminal do not get any container.
I mean, would you say this is also connected to the deplorable state in Apapa ports currently as it stands now?
Yes, yes. When you have to rate what the road has contributed compared to what the terminal operators and the shipping company has contributed, you realize the bad roads that we've been experiencing for the past 3, 4, 5 years now is not responsible for this increase in price. It's because of the fraudulent practice of the terminal operators and the shipping company. Because before now, the road has always been bad. That's true. It's not just now. And the transporters has never increased their charges, despite the fact that the roads has also always been bad.
Now, let's go over to the issue of haulage charges. In the center of last month or thereabout, they said moving of containers from Tinkan Island to Ikeja used to cost about 250,000 naira. But as it stands now, it said that just to move it from inside the port outside is now about 200,000 naira. I mean, isn't that expensive?
Before now, it used to cost between 60,000 to 80,000 within Lagos State.
Okay.
Now, within Lagos State now, they are charging as high as 400, 500, 600,000. So you can imagine the craziness behind these fraudulent practices. And it will also interest you to know, even myself, I have a container that has been there for more than 1 year now. I've loaded almost about 10. I'm still, no, about 14. I'm still having about 4 in the port for the past going to 1 year now. Because now I want to load to Enugu and Oka. And the transporters are expecting me to pay about 1.2 million, 1.1 million naira. And before now, Oka used to be around 250,000. Enugu around 300,000. So you can see the craziness behind this fraudulent practice is so sad that if something is not done urgently, it's going to kill the industry. And it's already killing the industry because the cost of commodity outside now is skyrocketing.
So lack of indigenous shipping lines have been listed as one of the major factors limiting exports from Nigeria. I mean, what is your take on this, and what are some of the other factors hampering export in Nigeria with your level of experience in the sector?
There are so many factors. Majorly, the factors is that of inconsistency in government policy. Government policy has not been favorable to exportation, and major infrastructures that are needed to enhance and encourage exportation has not been in place. If you have to look at it, the good is that Nigeria is known for exportation when we do have pyramids of cocoa, cashew, granite, and the rest of them. That was when we do have effective rail sector. The only thing that can pilot exportation is only rail sector. And if the rail sector is not working effectively, definitely the essence of even going into agricultural produce and exportation will be defeated. Because the essence of agricultural product and other export commodity is that it must land at the final destination at a reasonable cost. So if it's not landing at a reasonable cost, then definitely nobody will patronize you. So number one, the road infrastructure must be there. And majorly, the rail infrastructure must be there. And the rail must be well connected to the ports. In the 60s and 70s that we pride ourselves as agricultural community, we do have people that transport their commodity from the north, from the east, from the south, from the west. And they bring it down to Ido. Ido is somewhere around Yaba Island side. And they discharge it at that terminals. The buyers are waiting. And they will pay the farmer or whoever is the exporter, they will pay them immediately, or the manufacturer, they pay them immediately. They will take ownership of the commodity.
Now, there's been an increase in port cost and charges. And of course, stakeholders and agents have been coming together to seek ways of tackling this issue, but it seems like there's really no solution that has been preferred currently. I mean, in real terms, what do you think can be done to curb this?
In the wake of privatization exercise, some of us kicked against it. And some of us were so reasonable, encouraging government that there is no need for this horrid decision to privatize the ports. But later we realized that the ports were actually privatized for selfish interests. And that's why the port is not adding any value to the service delivery, but rather they are only increasing charges and frustrating trade facilitation. And good enough, of recent, government decided that, look, we need to look into the books that were used to privatize these ports. We need to look at the conditions that these ports were privatized. If all these conditions are met, definitely there could be need for us to improve, subject to what we're experiencing now. Otherwise, there may be need to revoke some of those licenses. Because if you are operating and you are like, you will still be the one that will dictate the pace. As we speak now, we don't have regulatory authority when it comes to the port operations. And because we don't have that, they are having a free day. The port operators and the shipping company are having free day. They make more money from storage charges and container detention. So that is enough for them. Even if containers are not coming, those that are within their confine, if they can make times 100 of what ordinarily they would have made from any container you are bringing in, they prefer to delay your containers so you pay more storage. And that's where they are making their money from.
Now, let's look at the issue of the current directive given by the Vice President that the port access road should be cleared within 72 hours. I mean, it's way past 72 hours right now. And I mean, although there is, improvement, happening right now, but the gridlock is still there. What do you have to say about this?
It may interest you to know that we cannot continue making statements that are not actually workable. Because for Mr. Vice President to have said clear the access roads. If you clear the access roads, definitely you are only saying put this congestion elsewhere. Put it elsewhere, because some people will feel the pain elsewhere. Those vehicles are not going out of Lagos. They are still within Lagos and they are congesting some other areas. Majorly, what is expected is, number one, the port's access gate should be opened. Service delivery terminal operators should operate 24/7. They should operate for 24/7. For those that are bringing empty containers, there must be offloading bay where empty containers can be kept pending the time the shipping company are ready to take them to the next available vessel in the night, not in the afternoon or in the morning. So if we are able to take empty containers away from the road, we have some allowance there. Then tankers must also, we said it at initial that look, when they are bringing all these tank farm within a Papa axis, around 1993, 94, 95, we kicked against it. I remembered I granted some interview and I said, look, in the future it's going to create crisis for us.
So let's look at the issue of the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria, CRFFN. I mean, the election has come and it has gone. What is your take on that? I mean, what's your take on it? Are you okay with it, or just tell us how you feel about it?
One good thing about election is somebody will win, somebody will lose. The people that are actually contested, they've won, and they have 2 years to serve. I expected that by now they would have started working. There's a lot of issues that they need to actually start attending to. I'm also appealing to the Honorable Minister to please inaugurate them allow them to start working, and so that we can begin to itemize most of the challenges we have in this sector, with a view of ensuring that we are able to align this sector with international best practices. There are so many conducts that need to be checked. There are so many things that are expected. We need to do a lot of capacity building in the sector, because people must know their onions before they can be called professionals. We need to regulate effectively, because the sector is not being regulated by customs, like the normal beliefs of some people in the past. Customs does not regulate. Customs' role is just revenue, trade facilitation, and ensuring that they discourage importation of contrabands and other things. So the only sector that regulates the sector, the only council that regulates the sector is the CFFN. And all of us, we need to support the council. We need to add value to the council, so that at the end of the day, everybody will be happy that yes, we can pride ourselves as professionals in the sector. Oftentimes we travel abroad and people keep asking us the same question: what is happening to that sector? It is only in Nigeria here that we don't encourage most of practitioners to have this kind of exposures outside Nigeria, to understand international best practices. All over the world, anytime we attend seminars, conferences in any part of the world, we see the way a lot of countries comes with their freight forwarders to attend. It's only in Nigeria that only few of us will be in Fiata, will be in Tiaka, will be in most of those meetings. And we want to ensure that we use this platform, the council. And unfortunately, a lot of people, even in this business, this sector, do not even know what the council stands for. And that's why the council must start working now to start educating people what value the council will add to the industry and to individuals within the industry. And I also believe that the industry is still at a greener stage. This is the industry that can actually accommodate more than enough people in terms of employment, in terms of capacity building. It's still at a greener stage. We have room to train people in the area of warehousing. We have the capacity to train people in the area of packaging. We have capacity to train people in the area of exportation, area of import, area of procurement, supply chain management, and so on and so forth. So we have a teeming youths that have not actually gotten something to do. And we believe if government can give us the opportunity, we can assist the government in ensuring that we engage them in area of professionality and area of professionalism in such a way that we be able to take them away from the streets and we make them gainfully employed. We train them, and most of them can practice. Because a lot of people, as we speak today, still want to go into the business of exportation. A lot of people want to go into the business of importation, into the business of all its services, warehousing, procurement, and so many things. So if government can give us the opportunity, we can train most of these teeming youths. We can train them, put them on the job training, and at the end of the day, we give them certification. We certify them, and they can start practicing. The business is so huge, and I can bet you, in less than 10 years to come, if government can give us that enabling environment, we will accommodate more than 500,000 youths. Within now to the next 5-10 years, we accommodate more than 500,000 youth in this sector. The capacity is there, the industry is there to accommodate, and so many other things.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Segun Musa, for joining us on the program today. We do appreciate it, and we look forward to speaking with you some other time. Thank you.
Thank you.
While most of the nation's wealth lies within the port, and we hope that this sector is looked into to ensure a hitch-free run. We have come to the end of the program. For more information, do reach us on our social media platform to be displayed on your screen shortly. I am Izine Egasi. Do have a pleasant day ahead.